Welcome back to another edition of the Stack Supplement Podcast, where we run down all of the top stories and exciting announcements shared on our website from the past 7 days. Getting back into the swing, back into the rhythm of things, we have a few admin updates to share. If you've been following along on social, which close to 60,000 people do on Instagram, you will have noticed that a couple of teasers related to energy drinks, and we even put out a few little announcements. So basically, Clash of the Cans is, of course, happening again. I think this is the 6th time we'll be doing it. It is pretty much our Protein Wars energy drink equivalent, where we get everyone to vote on their favorite energy drink. And it's been hugely popular over the last few years. We're changing a few things up. We haven't announced any of this officially yet. I believe it's coming this week. If not, I guess you can hear it here first. So the contest is going down. I think it's like first or second week of next month, maybe middle of the month somewhere. Our returning title sponsor will be, our title sponsor will be returning in Dynamine. Hugely thankful and proud for that. They'll be their branding, their name will be present throughout the competition. In addition to that, we are opening up social media voting. So I believe from what we've outlined, we do have a few other things we'll be adding to. But the first round will be through clashofthecans.com, and then following rounds, so the quarterfinals, semifinals, and grand final, we'll be collecting votes via, I think it's like email, website, and Instagram. And we do need to make sure that people understand that while Instagram will archive it at some point, so that people will be able to, sorry, how do I say this? So you're able to stop voting, basically. The final result will be the combination. So if, let's just say, I don't know, Red Bull's beating Monster on Instagram on the votes, but not on email and the website votes, they'll all be tallied up. So it is important to note that these aren't the final things, and not everyone is comfortable or accessible to vote on social media, and then vice versa with websites. So it should make for a much more entertaining thing, especially in the comments. But you will be able to go to that post throughout the week. It won't be like a vote now, like disappears tomorrow type thing. And we are going to have an official t-shirt. So something you may have seen if you follow along even a little more closer on social media stories, we have been teasing the launch of the Stacked official online store. It's something we've had a lot of requests for. In fact, if you're an Eagle-Eyed fan, you may have already seen it, and some people have. So we thank people for that. It hasn't officially launched, but if you even just Google Stacked shop or just go on the site, it is loosely in there. And we have a few items up there right now, but we're going to kind of launch it alongside Clash of the Cans, the announcement, as we are going to be putting together a t-shirt or a shirt that you can buy centered around that competition. And then in addition to that, we're going to follow up with like a whole bunch of pretty much collab stuff. There'll be shirts with brands, shirts probably centered around products. We've got a few staple things that'll remain there, accessories and clothing. And we'll also be doing it themed throughout. And depending on how permission goes, I would like to be able to add the Arnold shirts there as well. I'll have to check with a few people first, but I'll say that I would like to do that. So people, if they're not there, can go in and collect them that way. But for that admin side, that is it. Stay tuned for that information, especially the Clash of the Cans this week, and then subsequently the online store. We're going to jump straight into it with the news, and we have a bit like last week. I was playing catch up, but just didn't really have too much to highlight from that past week. This week is quite the opposite. We're going to jump straight into it with Life Pro Nutrition, our past 2-time functional brand of the year. They indeed did win the title. I don't think it was not last year, the year before, and the year before that. They took it home twice. And in fashion, they do ridiculously unique and creative functional foods. Go to the website and it's all there. In addition to that, they have some very reliable, strong selection of health, nutrition, performance supplements. And we have been seeing more of that lately. Still a lot of functional stuff, but most recently, they've teamed up with Dragon Ball. And if you are a fan like myself, you will have seen that they've been really digging deep and kind of doing the collaboration justice. They have done, I think the first one was, they did 4 flavors of a pre-workout. There was one themed around Goku, and then they did 3 villains. And then you got protein powder. And this was an intricate one. They did one themed around Goku, one themed around Vegeta, but it wasn't a flavor or product. So basically, it was a packaging or a skin. So they reskinned one of their protein powders, and then they did, so one was with Goku, one was with Vegeta, and then they did the same 4 flavors for both. So it's very, very difficult to describe, but interesting nonetheless. And this past week, they did a mass gainer. So they took their gainer, I'm pretty sure it's Total XL, Titan XL, kept the formula the same, pretty much a nice scalable system. If you go up to, what was it, triple serving, whatever serving it was, it's 39 protein, 39 protein in a 300 serving, 225 carbs, and it takes you over 1,000 calories. They did basically just a special edition version of that. It comes in 2 flavors, so very similar to the Goku one, the Goku protein powder and Vegeta protein powder. They did a version of Titan XL, which was basically a reskin with 2 flavors. So on the outside, they look exactly the same, but the flavor call out will be slightly different. So it's not a different flavor and a different look, same look. Goku's all about it. He's got 4 different forms on there. Original Super Saiyan 3, and then Super Saiyan God. And yeah, same formula inside, different look, and the flavors are chocolate hazelnut and choco monkey, which is something they've done for a few other supplements in their selection. We actually have quite a bit. I'm going to shoot straight over from there. I'm going to keep it on Dragon Ball Z. So another company that's partnered with Dragon Ball. You will notice that a lot of these collaborations, when you see them double up, it's never usually in the same market, let alone the same category. So I know that Beam, obviously, Be Amazing has done a Stack3d collab, and then you have Rise has done them as well. It's very uncommon. Usually you get them separated by markets, and that's what you have here. So Life Pro is a Spanish brand, and now we've got Strike One, which is a Chilean energy drink. They have done so how do I say this? So their entire brand is Dragon Ball energy drink. So Strike One does and has always done a Dragon Ball themed energy drink. The brand name is Strike One. And yeah, they had started out with 4, and they've maintained those 4. And for the last, God knows how long, maybe 2 months, they've been teasing 4 more, sort of like the second wave. And it's been like, they've thrown out little silhouettes. They've done a lot of sneaky things to build up the hype, and rightfully so. When you have 4 energy drinks for as long as I've known them, which isn't that long, but they've been around longer, it's a big deal. And so they have just launched those other 4, or just announced them. And continuing, very similar to the first lot, which is 4 flavors, each of them themed around a different character from the Dragon Ball universe. The latest 4 are very similar. So you have Goku, non-Super Saiyan form, and then you have Piccolo, Trunks, and Majin Buu, the good Buu form. And now they aren't all completely new flavors, which was interesting. So you have, I think it was Fantasy Fruit, which is Goku's one. That was the flavor he had in the original lineup. And then Majin Buu's Bubblegum, which was a flavor that was the same flavor from Frieza's energy drink from the original 4. The 2 new ones are Piccolo's Mojito and Trunks' Guarana. Now, Guarana typically means like an original classic taste, like a picture Monster Green and stuff like that. It's not like it's hard to explain, but usually when they have that, it's that malty, chemically toxic-y, I guess toxic's not the right word, but if you know energy drinks, you probably know what I'm referring to. It's that signature core flavor. And I think the original Green Monster is probably the best point of reference. But the interesting thing is that Trunks one is actually 0 sugar. So it's basically called Strike One Zero energy drink. It's the first one that's gone this route. So they've always been high sugar, high carb, which is why I've never actually, I don't think I had 1 flavor, if I remember, maybe 2, but I never drank the whole thing because I'm not a huge, if it can taste good sugar-free, why would I go to the others? But I remember trying a couple of them. That's where I first saw them in South America. And yeah, so this is interesting. It's very interesting that they decided to do it 0. And I'm crossing my fingers that this expands and they do other zeros and maybe do 0 versions of all the other ones. But interestingly, this is a completely new flavor, Guarana, as they call it. And yeah, so 0 sugar, the first one in the Strike One Dragon Ball Z family. Moving on down the list, we're going to jump over to the team at Elite Energy. And this was an interesting one because if you haven't noticed, the energy drink category is exploding. Just ridiculous number of competitors entering the space. We've done our best to, the last few years, last 6-7 years, we really expanded into energy drinks just purely because supplement companies did. And now we obviously keep everyone up to date with ideally every energy drink out there. And Elite Energy is kind of, to be honest, a very pure example of how competitive the world is getting. If you ever pay attention to things like pre-workout, another good example might be maybe muscle builders a little bit to extent, but generally when a category gets popular, and I don't mean just like a core category like protein bar, like really, really popular, and it goes through this phase of growth. Greens is a good example, collagen is a good example, creatine is a great example, but you tend to get more competition. Obviously, others see that as popular, so they want to jump in, take a piece of the pie. And then they inherently want to find a way to differentiate, to stand out. And sometimes that's with flavors, collabs, special edition packaging, some other sort of marketing tactic. But the eventuality is usually complexity. And we've obviously seen that in pre-workout, where over the years, instead of getting 5 ingredients, maybe 6 or 7, we're getting these kitchen sink formulas that are just, pretty much piling everything possible. And the energy drink category has seen some of this as well. And Elite Energy Drink is damn good proof of that. They didn't just put in a complex formula. They put in probably one of the most, I wouldn't say the most loaded formula, the most amount of active ingredients I think I've seen in an energy drink. Typically you get at most 5, if that. In an energy drink, it's much more difficult, and you have to understand that competition isn't anywhere near as fierce as pre-workout. So a complex energy drink formula versus a pre-workout are drastically different, but in the scale of competition, it's pretty hefty. And Elite Energy, I mean, I got to give it up to them. So I'll rattle this off for you. And again, you've got 12 active ingredients, 12 signature ingredients in this thing, and a lot of them are premium branded ones. So a lot of effort has gone into this. And I've got to give it up to them for really setting themselves apart, stepping it up, making this more than an energy drink. This is gone to the days of your classic taurine, caffeine, and a few vitamins. The Elite Energy Drink brings together, you got CoQ10. Now, some of these things, like I said, they're not dosed supremely highly like a pre-workout, but in comparison, they're pretty damn good. And you got tyrosine at 100 milligrams. Would have liked to see that higher, but it is what it is. Theanine at 100, cordyceps at 100, green tea source caffeine at 175, lion's mane, the nootropic mushroom extract, is 100 milligrams. Alpha GPC is at 200, which is reasonable, I thought, for a beverage. Carna Pure Carnitine, 250, and then the premium Cognizant Citicoline at 250. And also tucked in the way is KSM 66 Ashwagandha, the multi-benefit powerhouse at 100 milligrams. And then you have Synactive at 50, and then Bioperine Black Pepper at 5 milligrams. Now this is a pretty, as I said, robust formula for an energy drink. I don't think I've seen any other beverage with a stacked formula as well. Formula as stacked as that. So again, some of these could be dosed a little higher. The 50 milligrams of Synactive I thought was pretty cool to see that at that top amount. Again, with the Cognizant, the Alpha GPC, some of the other ones I would have liked to see more of, a little better dosages, but again, it is an energy drink. You can only fit so much and you can only flavor so much, and at the same time, you'd be hard to find someone else who sells anything as complex as that. A few come to mind, obviously, but I can't recall anyone who had 10 key active ingredients like this, unless you want to start counting the EAAs, but you catch my drift. And all of this is paired with a pretty clean nutrition profile. So I believe it was, I can't rattle it off right now, but if I recall correctly, it was 0 calories. Sorry. So you're pretty safe on the flavors, and there's a lot to choose from. So not completely new, but we just shared it. So I think it was they didn't launch that long ago, but damn worth checking out. And just kudos to them for again, sitting in the category and expanding in a way that's different. Next up, we're going to stay within the energy drink space and go over to Rise, who just announced that for the last year, they had been working on a 12-ounce version of their Rise Fuel energy drink, and why not? A lot of other people are. They've gone for the slimmer can, gone for the shorter experience, and then they decided around, I'm not sure when, but the video outlined that they made a point to change. Somewhere along the way, they felt that there wasn't much point in doing that, and then they switched to basically a new innovation. So they are coming out with a 12-ounce energy drink, but it will be a different experience. Now, how different, we don't actually know. Currently, it's been referred to as the Rise energy drink, as opposed to Rise Fuel energy drink or Rise Fuel drink. I'm guessing, or I'm gathering, it's somewhat similar to like how you have C4, the C4 Original versus C4 Smart, where you get that slightly different experience. Or even, what's it, OxyShred, the OxyShred energy drink, and I'm trying to remember the other one. Is it Infinity or Infinite, the one that has the paraxanthine in there? I'm suspecting they're going after a different experience. At least that's from what it sounds like, not even suspecting. That's pretty much what they've said. They wanted to do a different one rather than potentially take away from the 16-ounce, which makes sense. You don't want someone coming in and going, hey, I'd rather the 12 than the 16. That doesn't expand your sales. You might get some new ones grabbing it, but at the same time, you might get some current ones taken away, and you would prefer not to, make something that takes away from something else, especially one that has been rather successful. And so it'll be called the Rise Energy Drink. It's coming in 6 flavors. 3 of them, half of them will be authentic collabs with Sunny D, Kool-Aid, and Country Time. So yeah, they've been pretty busy, and I appreciate that they actually went that route. Anytime someone gets innovative and creative, Stack is what we do. So I'm excited to see how this turns out, how it looks, and the kind of differentiating features that they throw in there, especially when they're trying to offer something separate from Rise Fuel. And then obviously if you know Rise, they always do great flavors. So looking forward to that one. Next up, we're going to jump to we're going to close out with 3 things. I've got 3 things. We'll skip these other ones. Some news out of Canada. Now, this is more, it's both brands and consumer news worth hearing about. Canada is probably one of the strictest markets in the world in terms of rules and regulations, right up there with, actually, I wouldn't say it's the strictest, it's one of. I know Brazil definitely has some hard rules, and Australia has the catches of its own, but Canada is definitely one of the tougher ones. And they're about to bring in, on deadline is January 1st of next year, something called a front of packaging label. And this was proposed in the US. This was even, I think we even featured it when it was proposed. And basically what they're planning on doing, and again, this isn't proposed, this is happening. So if you're in Canada, you will have seen some of this actually already. Basically, any kind of prepared food, packaged food, good stuff like that, which will encompass protein powders and nutrition supplements, from what I understand, and protein snacks, obviously. There are going to be, it's basically a panel that will sit on the front. Other countries have similar, where it highlights any extreme or high amounts. Very similar, again, to what was proposed for the US. And this is where I believe it's high sodium, high sugar, is it high saturated fats? Yes, high saturated fats. So any kind of food or whatever that falls into this realm will need to put this on the front if they exceed. So if they don't exceed anything, so they don't go over to the saturated fat threshold, the sugar or the sodium threshold, they don't need to put it on there. And inherently, what I think is good for consumers is that if you then see this, okay, what do I need to worry about? What's high? And obviously if you're buying something like candy, yeah, okay, I know it's high in sugar anyway. Obviously this is on here, but let's just say you're choosing cereal and there's a whole bunch that don't, and then this one does. I think it's like, it does the job for consumers. It's better on that front, but it will apply to nutrition products. And I imagine there's not going to be a mass gainer in history that doesn't have this on there, purely because they are victims of all of those saturated fats, sugar, and sodium. Not necessarily the balance, but just because mass gainers inherently shoot for the moon on these things. So yeah, you have to break. It's more than 2 grams of saturated fat, more than 15 grams of sugar, and more than 360 milligrams of sodium in a single serving. And again, there are mass gainers that It's a walk in the park. So this will end up on those things. But then alternatively, if you see a mass gainer and it's like 1,000 calories and we're past the deadline, this is implied in Canada, and that's not on there, it's a little cleaner than the others. So it's a little bit extra steps for the brands, obviously, and a nice communication for consumers. But new little thing rolling in up there in Canada. The next story, we got the second to last one we're going to jump to, is a quick one regarding the Arnold Sports Festival. We obviously have been covering that. We'll be partnering with them again, obviously, for the Stack Pavilion, which is going to be bigger, better, and I was going to say better, but I don't mean worse. I mean just bigger, better, and elevated. And we are, anyone that's interested in doing it, feel free to connect, Arnold US or UK. However, the news that came in on the Arnold is that Arnold Schwarzenegger himself has juiced up the prize money. $750,000 is going to be going to the winner of the open category Arnold Classic competition. It was 600,000. Was it 500,000? 600,000. I think it might have been 500,000. I can't remember. I should know, but I don't. Either way, next year it's going to be 750. And in the UK, which is returning in early April, is it April or March? Somewhere around there. They're going to have the winners going to take away 250. So if you are a bodybuilder who enters in that first show and you maintain your conditioning for 3 to 4 weeks and you win the UK one, you're walking away with $1 million. And that is a huge prize pool. The Arnold US alone, that 750 is bigger than the Olympia, the biggest in the world, as far as I know. And last year, I believe they bumped up the prize money, and I think the Olympia bumped it up the weekend of their show to 600, and now the Arnold's getting in again, taking it 750. And so, yeah, kudos to the team, the organizers for that. The show was already a huge success this year with the turnout that they had in the draw. And next year, now we've got the UK back. It seems to have all the tools to be going just another gear up. So look out for what was undoubtedly going to be an even bigger event. And if you were there, it's going to be hard to believe that they could get even more people into the building and throughout the event. So, but they're going to do it. We know how it works. So the last story we have is indeed the one behind us. This is Mutant's superfood debut, Big Greens. This is the first superfood supplement I can recall for Mutant. And yeah, they kind of stepped it up. I was very impressed that they didn't just go with the usual blend of fruits and greens. And to be honest, knowing Mutant, that's not all surprising. That's what they do. They tend to don't always come out with new products that often, but the ones that they do, they are very careful, very intricate, very crafted. They tend to make products that they know are going to sell well, that fit with their brand, that suit the market, and then they make sure the formula is of that Mutant level. So they bring together, it's at 4 grams of land and sea greens. Notably, they've got I don't know if this is how you pronounce it, hydramins, red algae, and blue-green algae. So that's where the name, the land and sea greens blend, comes into play. And they do transparently outline how much of that is the hydramins. And then they've even got a fat dose of spirulina in there. So of total, I think it's that 4.5 grams of greens in total. And then of that, 1.5 is dedicated or allocated to the sea green part. There's also just over 1 gram of superfoods, which is where you get your fruits like grape, raspberry, cranberry. There's also, in addition, mixed into that, you've got tart cherry, which I only say that as a separate one because it has additional benefits. It's not just, it's a superfood as well. Then to tip it, and this is why I say it's a little more than your standard superfood supplement, is in addition to all of that, there is a daily reset blend, which infuses even more superfoods. You've got milk thistle, cinnamon, turmeric, and then notably ashwagandha, KSM 66 ashwagandha. So there's a touch of the what do they have, 22, 23 gold standard clinical trials now. KSM is fitting for almost every category out there, so it's no surprise that they work this in there and it just fits in seamlessly. And then rounding it all out is a 700 or 725 milligram blend of probiotics and digestive enzymes to help with digestion and gut health. So as I said, and this happened with superfood because originally the category exploded. We just got greens, different flavored greens, good flavored greens, and then it evolved, and then it became to the point where if you want to really take part in that space, you need to offer more. And now we've got these comprehensive competitors that really stand out. Big Greens has just thrown itself in the mix. I think it's over 40 different superfood ingredients. I'm pretty sure that's what it said. I'm trying to, because it was over 40. There we go. I was pretty good. Over 40 superfood ingredients. And they launched with a pretty cool little promotion. I believe it's still available at Muscle and Strength. I'm not entirely sure. So they did this Mutant Big Greens box set where you would get a flag, a hat, and then a bottle. And they were giving them out. I think you could sign up, and then if you were one of the selected, you got one of the boxes. But then you could also go to Muscle and Strength, and they had a few themselves that they were selling for the same price as a full-size bottle of Big Greens. So it was a no-brainer to grab the box, basically. I don't know if it's still there, but at $44.99 before any discounts at 37, puts it right in the mix in the category. For this episode, that is it. We're wrapping it up there with thank you for listening. As always, all we need you to do to support us is go to the website, check it out every day, share with your mom, your dad, brother, and sister, visit the site 5 times a day, 6 times a day. Go to the online store, which is something else we want to get. If you actually, I haven't launched it yet officially, but if you can find it, go buy something, enjoy it, appreciate it, share it. But yeah, that is it for this episode. Thank you for listening and look forward to having you back next time.